Hello, and welcome to today's edition of Community Voices Uganda on Civic TV. I am Phillip Mulissa. I welcome you all to this great conversation, and today we're having a conversation that relates so closely to all of us because certainly I'm sure we all get to engage in movements in one way or the other, and our conversation today is focusing on the prevalence of fatal accidents in Uganda, but also paying keen attention to the status of Uganda's road infrastructure. And we have a background of a lot of things that are happening in the country on the roads, the movements, the accidents, the development. We want to talk and make sense of all of this and certainly come out with a common ground that should see the progress, growth, and continuity of better standards of living in our community. My name is Phillip Mulissa, and on today's panel, I have very distinguished citizens of this beautiful country, whom I will call in to first say hello to us, and certainly we get on with the conversation. I'll start with you, Mr. Sam Bambanza. Sam, greetings, welcome to the conversation, and how is your location?
Good morning, Philip and other panelists. I'm Sam Bambanza, Executive Director, Safe Transport and Survivors Support Uganda STASU. I'm happy to be on the panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam Bambanza, from that particular institution, the Safe Transport and Survivors Support Uganda. It's good to have you here, and certainly we can't wait for what you have to share with us about this particular subject because indeed it relates directly to the kind of work you do at that particular organization. Thank you. I also have NYOMBI Sydney. Sydney, greetings. Welcome to the conversation.
Good morning to you all. Good morning, Philip. My name is NYOMBI SENYONJO. I'm a recent graduate for postgraduate degree in transportation engineering, and in which also I concentrated in the sector of road safety. And thanks for this opportunity to share our thoughts. And thanks to the other panelists.
Yes, thank you so much, Sydney, for joining us, and good to have you. And certainly, this is again in line with your profession, and we can't wait to hear the knowledge you're going to share with us today on this particular subject. Good to have you here. And lastly, I have someone who deals with information. I have a journalist on the panel, and that is Ms. Doreen Buwule. Doreen, greetings. Welcome to the conversation. I think Doreen is having connectivity challenges, but certainly we shall hear from her as she settles in and we get to share the thoughts and views she has to put on this particular conversation. Now, colleagues, let me start it this way. Look, I was reading through the annual crime report of the Uganda Police Force, and that is for the year 2024, and something relating to accidents. This is what they tell us. They tell us that that year, 2024, had 25,107 road crashes. And the report continues to mention, to break it down a little more, when they tell us that of those accidents, 4,434 were fatal, 13,013 were what they call serious crashes. Then you have 7,539 that they call minor accidents. From these, they continue to tell us that we had 5,144 fatalities, and that creates an average of about 14 deaths to road accidents per day in that particular year. And a lot more breakdown on that particular subject, and I want us to start there. In the recent past, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, we've had a lot of major accidents on our roads. When you look at the Jinja Road, whether you talk about Masaka Road, whether you talk about Kuru, all these majorities had very many accidents and a lot of fatalities coming out of those incidences. And one of the very major includes just a few days ago we had one in Kiboga, where actually Buyikwe district on the Kiboga-Nyenga highway, where a bus that belongs to the YY transportation company overturned and caught fire, and we have dozens dead, we have dozens injured, we have the vehicle itself destroyed almost unrecoverably, and that is just one of the many that have happened in the last 1 month. I want to start with you, Mr. Sam. Look, these accidents, when you see them happening day in, day out, what comes to your mind? What are you seeing? Why is this happening? How did we get there? And in any case, are these things you have to get used to in our society? Yes, Sam Bambanza.
Thank you very much, Philip, for that background. It is very unfortunate that we continue to lose innocent lives of Ugandans in avoidable, controllable, and preventable road crashes. In this discussion, we need to use the word crash, not accident, because accidents are acts of God, which are not preventable. For example, floods, those are the accidents, the act of God. But however, these ones are crashes. Crashes are preventable, are controllable, and avoidable. So these are not accidents. Uganda has, for this month, witnessed a number of fatal crashes. The one that happened in Ujiri, where we lost 7 people. Then the one of YY, which overturned and caught fire, and several others which are not here in the media. And the most causes of these crashes, one is overspeeding. Speeding meaning that you are driving the speed that is not safe, that you cannot be able to control the vehicle. That's what it means overspeeding. You have exceeded the speed that you cannot. And it is one of the 5 key risk factors that contributes to road crashes. And when you look at the recent, the one of Rajiv, it is the contribution was speed, the force at which he knocked those barriers, and then the vehicle rolls over. That was the speed. If it was in a safe speed or in the moderate speed, then he would be able to control the vehicle. Another factor is reckless driving. People driving and overtaking or ignoring the traffic signals and destructive driving. So those are what we call reckless driving. Destructive driving means you are driving while using on phone, the brain will not be able to concentrate. And maybe you have seen people driving while eating, so meaning he will not be able to concentrate. That is destructive. Then reckless, you want to overtake several vehicles. We have witnessed these crashes along Mavera. Someone wants to overtake 10 vehicles, and within the middle of the 10 vehicles, there is no way he would maneuver. What he would happen is just to have head-on collision. We also have issues with poor road conditions. Some of these roads are slippery. Some of these roads have potholes. Someone is driving, especially in Mavera, in Kaworo, is trying to dodge a pothole. By the time the vehicle veers off from the main road and hits another one, we have vehicles that are in poor mechanical conditions. You have seen someone driving a vehicle with worn out tires. Some are not have brakes. So all those contribute to road crashes. Then another issue I would want to share maybe is about the weak enforcement of these regulations. Most of these our regulations, we have very good policies in the country, but they are poorly enforced, both by the traffic and even at the workplace. Because if you're operating a fleet, then why should you allow a vehicle to be on the road or to load passengers when it is in poor mechanical condition? Then also, if you are a regulator, why should a regulator should also be very strong in enforcement these regulations? We have seen, especially in this Shenyo road, where some of these wishes, they add carriers on a wish. The wish is not supposed to have a carrier. They on that carrier, they put mattress, they put chicken, they put some others are shifting homes. So the vehicle was not meant to have those carriers. Then we have other accessories that are added on the vehicle. For example, these lights, the floodlights, you know, these floodlights, once you put on these floodlights that are not meant for that vehicle, then it means it will blind the other incoming vehicle. You have seen these lights that are almost like those which you use for nsenene, for grasshoppers. They blind other drivers. So those, and then this one who had videos. He is driving, he's watching a video in the vehicle. You must have seen them now. Those are accessories that are illegal, and the government and the police need to ensure that those illegal accessories should not be included on the vehicles. Those are the basics that would contribute to these road crashes.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you, Phil.
for that. You give us quite an interaction with the knowledge of what the road is, what the either crashes or accidents, the difference in between there, but also some of the major causes of this. And I want to hear from you, Sydney, from where you travel from what you hear, from what you interact with, what is causing this state of affairs on Ugandan roads, and indeed what is being done to see that these can actually be reduced, or in any case be done away with. Like some told that these are crashes in the sense that they are avoidable, they are controllable, they are preventable. Yes, Sydney.
Thanks, Philip. First, can begin with the crash trends which you elaborated on. The number of fatalities which have been occurring from 2017 to 2020, they used to be in the range of 3,500 to 3,900. Then in 2021 to 2023, they rose to the range of 4,000 to 4,900. Then last year, 2024 was the first in which they reached in the range of 5,000. By first, going to the most recent crashes which had gained popularity through the media. First, the one for Sudiu's son, yes, could have been on a high speed and reached the barrier which he knocked. By, if possible, in the future, better barriers can be created and used. Yes, there are lighter ones which many on the media were referring to, but it's possible when that one is placed, someone will easily displace it, even during construction when they have diverted from the 2 lanes to 1 lane, and often you can see if it's in a congested area, border riders taking away that barrier for them to create space for them to easily move. Maybe was the intention with the heavy concrete one which was used, such that not easily displaced. But if one can be made, which is at least in the middle in terms of weight, which when cars knocked it, it won't get as much severe damage, but when also can't easily be kicked away by like motorcycle riders or easily displaced, that would be a better solution. Then the second accident which had crash which had gone on the media for the bus on Katabazi Road, based on one of the TikTok videos that had gone popular, who was describing that seemed the driver first was trying to dodge a motorcycle. yes, at quite high speed. By when he had gone in the direction to dodge the motorcycle, then also met another scenario to dodge, which was the pedestrian crossing. So in negotiating all that, it was moving in sway movement, and usually when vehicle has just turned right, then suddenly left, often lose stability, and such vehicles have a limit which they can handle at a given speed. Then as a result, it overturned. But like back where I'd done my studies in the South Africa, now such would also have not occurred on such a road, given their land system management, where on such a road, which would be called a national road, find when there are no houses besides the road, then one can drive 15 kilometers without such disturbances. Also, the motorcycles are quite less in the country. And after driving like 10 to 15 kilometers, the next main diversion, which would be an intersection with all the proper warning and design. Then after, if one is continuing, can continue straight. But unlike the land system here, where even on a national road, then every 5 kilometers, another town, which can mean having introduced the speed to 50 kilometers per hour or 30, by them on the national road can continue throughout. It's like a mini expressway where such would have been minimized.
Thank you so much, Sydney, for that. And you raise a couple of issues among which you say the consideration of having lighter barriers along the roads, but also you comment about the land and the nature how roads are constructed, how the intersections and the towns and how people have to be switching in their navigation to see that they match the standards of the different locations they get into. Thank you so much, and we deliberate more on those particular aspects a little later in the conversation. Uh, I want to hear from Doreen. Do you hear me now?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Thank you so much. Good to have you. And I want to think, first of all, I don't know what particular niche or lead you focus in your journalism, but certainly you've had or interacted or covered things related to these road accidents and the things that continue happening in that regard. Talk to me about the experiences you as a journalist has undergone, has witnessed, has read, has interacted with in connection to road safety, road crashes, and things to do with how people's lives are lost or maintained on the roads. Yes, Doreen.
Well, as you can see, I'm on the road. My name is Doreen Buwule, a journalist. We use this road daily, and I'm going to request to switch off the video so that I can just proceed.
If you allow me, I hope you are not the one driving, first of all, but so I hope on this conversation does not affect the person driving, because we want you and any other people you are with to be very
safe. Yeah,
right.
I'm not the one driving. To just make it very clear, I'm not the one driving. But I would like to comment that the accidents that we are experiencing, or we have seen all the time, the numbers have kept growing, the fatalities especially. Really, it's not the mere fact that it's a new thing, but an implementation thing. We have all these very nice rules and policies in place that both the government and the different ministries, especially have put in place to make sure that the road use is kind of accurate and safe for everybody. But then we have so many people that have either neglected them, or through the use of normal corruption that is daily food for us, it has made it very difficult for people to just stick to the rules. For example, I'll just give the speed limits in Kampala. The highest you can go is 70 kilometers per hour. That is the highest you can really go. And for many of us that, especially for Ugandans, you get to learn about these road users when you're either just in the driving school or accidentally you found yourself, you know how to drive and you're on the road. So there is need for us to have either the way they incorporate education and just put the different laws in place and teach it at the universities and everywhere. I think there is a portion of our education system that needs to just bring the mechanics down to schools so that people get to know, especially with HSE or level, just a small snippet of what road use looks like, so that when you get into the borders, it's easy for you to use the road. Or when you get into getting your own vehicle, you have a way that you can maneuver through the road system. So it's really important to just cater to the fact that you are not the only person using the road. For example, the YY accident, it was really unfortunate that he tried to save a few people and lost, of course, he lost 3, but then there were so many others that got injured in the process. So it is really important for all of us to have that education earlier on before we even aspire to have vehicles or to use the road in any way possible. So I think for now, as I kind of don't want to disrupt my driver, allow me to try and just leave it at that for now as we move forward.
Thank you so much, Doreen. And you mentioned the aspect of education, and certainly that is so important because in the end, it is knowledge that guides us through all the other things that we have to do, and certainly so with the road use practices and certainly the safety of our peoples and indeed the country at large. Sam, I want to come back to you quite briefly, and when you hear all this, there is misconduct, there is, like you talked about, lack of enforcement and many other things. And when we're in the road, there is a common phrase, for example, when you interact with traffic officers, many of the people that are meant to do the enforcement of this particular, so sorry about that particular glitch. My question is, we keep hearing the conversation that many of the vehicles are in dangerous mechanical conditions, and certainly so many of them are. But I want you to draw for me a comparison between the status of our vehicles on the road, but also the nature, the status, the structure of our road infrastructure, the road. If the vehicles are not fit for the road, are the roads themselves fit for the vehicles in any case, and certainly which is safer and how do we go about each of the two? Yes, Sam.
Thank you, Philip. Road safety is a shared responsibility. So you should not blame the government. You should not blame the police. It's a shared responsibility. One of our pioneers was on the camera without a seat belt. So, and that is also very dangerous. And in most cases, I wanted just to share it. In most cases, people are killed by friends. When you are driving, Philip,
If you allow me, let us advise immediately. Doreen, if you may kindly please get on your seatbelt because we want you to be very, very safe as we reach the safety on this conversation and we did going forward.
So in most cases, I wanted to share from the experience. Most cases, people are killed by their friends. When you are driving, Philip, and you put some behind you, is the when you have buckled up, and for him the behind passenger has not used the seat belt, is the one that will come and hit you. So in most cases, when you sit on the steering, make sure the behind passenger has a seat belt. So we have talked about the kind of the vehicles we have in the country. Research, there is a research going on and studies, and there is the development of safe vehicles. And the safe vehicles are the vehicles that even when you are involved in a crash, they will not kill you, but they will forgive you. I was lucky. 2023, we tested. I was in US and we tested the Mercedes-Benz 2023, and it has all the safe features. it has if you sit in the vehicle, it has to make sure that the sensors are working. And now this time around, the sensors for the seat belt has to cover the body. Recently in Uganda, most people use, there is an alarm. If you have not used the seat belt, there is an alarm. So it was, that alarm was meant to ensure that you make sure you use the seat belt. But people can bypass from behind and back up, and the alarm will stop. But with these new vehicles, you must ensure it senses the heart. If it doesn't sense the heart, it means it has not passed your body, then it will not stop the alarm. Then it also have areas which are normally involved in injuries, the chest, and then the knees, and even the face. So in the case of a crash, those airbags will pull out and save those areas that are normally affected by injuries. So now, with question on about our vehicles and in relation with our roads, is that one should be answerable and reliable for driving a vehicle in dangerous condition. And it's good that the government is now reviving the mandatory inspection of the vehicles. So if the vehicles don't meet the roadworthiness, they will not be allowed on the road. So the vehicles will be subjected to mandatory inspection and then be given a sticker. So when the enforcement are in place, they will ensure that if the vehicle doesn't have that that sticker, it means it has not passed the test of being on the road. That is a very good strategy that we have already acquired, the SGS plants. So by starting in July, all the vehicles, motorcycles, and trailers and trucks are going to be subjected. If it doesn't pass the tests, then you take it back to the garage, they work on it until it is passed. If it doesn't, then it will not be allowed. So for the case of the roads also, we are trying to advocate for the construction of forgiving roads. Forgiving roads, the roads that will not kill you. If you make a mistake, maybe you have veered off from your main lane and you go to another lane, then the road is supposed to warn you. The road is supposed to have these trees. You know, when you construct a road, you're supposed to have those trees so that the vehicle does not fly over to maybe someone's house. You have seen people being killed at night. The vehicle veers off from main road, it goes and hits some people when they are at night. So we are advocating for the safe roads, communication roads. Find most of the roads don't have signage. We have issues of stealing of these signages. Then you find they don't have paintings to show that this road is marked, the marking. Then the lighting, that's why SIDNEY was talking about the high rate of pedestrians. With the 35% of these crashes are pedestrians. One, the pedestrians are traveling at night when there are no lights. We normally get lights in Kampala when we have some officials in Munyonyo, and once they have gone, we no longer see the lights again. Then also pedestrians are very not serious with their lives. We have seen now we have the flyovers. Let me use the example of the one in Nakawa. People don't want to use it. They want to risk. We have the one flyover now on the clock tower. People don't want to use them. When you go to the one which is going to the Chuburi, people don't want to use them. They want to risk. Is carrying firewood, is carrying something, and you want to cross the road. You have seen on Entebbe Road, they jump those barriers and they want to cross on the high-speed roads. So the road safety is a shared responsibility. If the road is very poor, then drive slowly. Because now, if there is the road has potholes, why should you speed? So we need to see how do we change the behaviors of the drivers. The road is bad, the road is slippery, you know your vehicles has issues with braking system, then you want to continue overspeeding. So it is about having professionalism among the operators of these vehicles, and the only way we can instill discipline is to ensure that these road crash cases are taken seriously into courts of law, like the way government has handled the issue of environment. the environment, people have been taken in courts of law and they have learned a lesson. But for all these crashes that happened in the whole of these years, you have not seen any single driver being taken into courts, being taken into Ruzera. They would have learned a lesson. They would have, once they come back and maybe they have lost their points, because now we have what we call the merit point regulation. So the merit is that you'll be given points once there is any traffic offense, they keep on deducting. And once they have exhausted the points, then you are supposed to go back and be retested. So those are the learning experiences that should be subjected to these drivers. These penalties enough are not enough, because if you enforce and you don't educate, people will not learn. So we need to have to revive traffic courts to ensure that it can instill discipline so that people can learn how to use vehicles responsibly and also the roads responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam, for that. But before I let you go, you mentioned that, for example, you have people that do bypass the alarm system of seatbelt. What would be the interest of that particular person?
I think that is ignorance. Sometimes there is others who say when I use the seat belt, I don't feel comfortable while driving. That's why they bypass. And you must also have seen people who don't want to use the helmet. As Philip, you may find in your office, you don't have a helmet. Me, I have a helmet, and all my staff have helmets. If you are to use a vehicle, a taxi, they have. Because I know from the experience, we have seen how people are crushed. I know once you save your head, you can even be able to go back in your office and moderate programs, even if you are amputated. So people are not valuing their life. So they have not seen if you are involved in a crash and then the seatbelt has helped you not to hit the steering. That's when you know the use of seatbelt. But sometimes people just think that let me just put it because I'm passing on the traffic. And now that we are going to integrate the system with cameras, you will see people paying fines all the time because the cameras will take the photo when you have not used your seatbelt, and it will relay that video to your email, to your phone, and then it'll say, please, Philip, go and pay. This is the offense, and there is no way you can deny. So it is most cases ignorance, and it is only that people have not seen such kind of incidents that the seatbelt is useful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam, for that. And it's quite unreal that people would choose to go that way in the name of comfort and risking their lives that would be saved in case of any uncertainties that happen on the roads. I want to hear from you, Sydney, from where you are and the journey you go through. What would be your assessment of our road infrastructure, and certainly what do you think can be done to improve on the areas you think are not in a good shape? Yes, Sydney.
Yes, thanks, Philip. For the state of the road infrastructure, yes, the country is still at a stage of upgrading from many gravel roads to paved, which seems to be the priority for most of the government budget allocation to the Ministry of Transport. But as most of these roads are being implemented and constructed, many safety features are not put in place, like barriers on a corner, and some which also require maintenance. Often maintenance isn't done that often. It's mostly concentrated on the potholes, but first solution which had ever come, which was a lead road safety agency, which would concentrate more on the road safety aspects, but it lasted 2 years, and after it was dissolved because of not having enough national budget to cater for it. Yet, for instance, Tmapera, which is the entrance to Centenary Bank, many times would get devastated when the pedestrian crossing there was no longer visible, yet I'd seen it as really first place which would be a priority in being maintained always to be visible such that pedestrians can cross much more easily. After when I'd taken it and conversation with those for the KCA, soon it was found that when the road maintenance funds are allocated to them, of course, the first priority would be to deal with existing potholes, which even the funds may not be enough to cater for all. Hence, maintaining such a pedestrian crossing would be the last in priority. Yet, if such an agency was there, then also funds to allocate to aspects of road safety would be there and it would be catered for. So, which was the function of such an agency for sector as road safety not to be overlooked, since often in competition for funds and priority with also other factors. And in general, a road is supposed to communicate especially to a driver of what is ahead. And when there's something unexpected, like what would have been the case for the Sudir accident, often in psychology, there's that first state of surprise you be in, and it can even take as many as 3 seconds when you are still in the shock and may not suddenly start to apply the brakes. And the study, yes, may have been out of the country, but ever found that 37% of fatal accidents involving vehicles, by the time the accident occurred, driver wasn't yet engaging in an invasive action like changing the direction or braking when they were still in the state of surprise. And last but not least, a lot of the road infrastructure has been put in place by still prioritizing mainly to the vehicles, whereby facilities for the pedestrian cyclists haven't been catered for. And one good example is on the Ginger Road near the many factories, Rose Foam and some Chinese for plastics, find in the morning and evening when those for the next shift are walking to the factories and those for the previous shift are moving away. There is high pedestrian volume, but no pedestrian facility like walkway was put in place. Plus, also on such national highways, many times when you have to cross the road, almost find you will be on pity of the driver. Yet if at such positions, overpasses, pedestrian bridges would be put in place such that that safety conscious pedestrian can at least use the overpass. Yes, or may not use, others in a hurry may still cross from the lower end, but that one who is safety cautious, at least for their lives to be saved. Yes. All those are aspects so far not yet being catered for the present road infrastructure of the country. Thanks.
Thank you, Sydney, and I am loving your background. It really speaks a lot to what we are talking about today here, and thank you for that. I need to commend you for that. For whoever is looking at it, is certainly understanding critically what we are talking about and what can happen on the road. We are on Community Voices Uganda, and we're having a conversation about the theft on our Ugandan roads with a backdrop of the very many accidents we are experiencing in the country recently, but also over the years. the increment cannot go unnoticed. Accidents, people are dying, property destroyed, people are getting lame, and so many things, and we're trying to make sense of those particular developments here. And that brings me to you, Doreen. Doreen, look, first of all, I want you to briefly talk about the status of the road infrastructure, especially like now you're on the road. What have you noticed that certainly can be improved on the particular road you are driving on? But two, earlier you spoke about the element of education and making sure people have the knowledge. I want you to speak about the drivers themselves. For one to acquire driving permit, there is a process. People going to driving schools and securing certificates and undergoing medical checks and certainly more checking and training at the institution that gives out the driving permit. Is this process being followed so well, and certainly are we producing the best drivers to be on our road? Yes, Doreen, you can hear me.
All right, so currently I'm on Kayumba Road heading to Kampala. The state of the road is moderately safe. It's actually well constructed. The hubs are in the right places. Most of the congested areas of Kampala, of the road actually towards Kampala, are having moderate humps that will favor the driver or the pedestrians and whoever is using the road. So this road in particular is not in the worst state as some other roads that we know in the city center or in the country. Over. But the initial statement that I said about education is most of the drivers that we have in most of these places are streetwise. Some have gone through driving schools, but most of them have learned on job. For example, if we look at how many taxi drivers have gone through driving schools, we can definitely have statistics which raise our eyebrows, because most of them start out like conductors. With time, they can drive here and there, and then finally a boss or somebody who has a taxi can employ them as drivers. But that said, it doesn't mean that we cannot follow up. As for example, the government, like Mr. Sam said, it's possible to just have these measures in place, and also the implementation should be very, very key, because it's just not right to have the right policies and the right rules, but without implementation. So it's very, very important. Like I don't know how to stress it even, but we have drivers really who know how to drive, but then there are many times that they need to be put in check once in a while. And I know we are all going to bypass this, but let me say it, because there are many that have been found in several places that are the wrong time, wrong driving, and we have got away with, a few shillings to a traffic officer or somebody. So it's easier for us to just run away with a crime, with something that could have led to a crash or an accident, than just actually face the actual consequences of what we would have done. So it's really imperative that the drivers have a sense of conscience. And Mr. Sam said I'm not buckling up. Well, I have this, what they call the baby buckle, the seat belts, the downer seat belt. So I am still safe. I want to assure him that I'm really keeping the road rules. And yeah, so definitely it's important for us to have discussions around this. And also the irony is we always have these discussions around seasons that have more accidents. Can we have these discussions all year round? Can we keep our drivers in check all year round, but not wait for special accidents or a season where we feel that the accidents are too many, then we discuss it? Can we have just, Mr. Sam, is it possible for us to just keep these drivers in check throughout the year? Can we have mobilization for pedestrians? I've been a pedestrian on several roads, and then you find the motorists using the same place which pedestrians are supposed to use, and it's Kampala, it's streetwise, but can we be safe? Can we sensitize these communities? And can we at least hold some people accountable? Can we still not have corruption in the road or on the safety part of the road use? Yeah, so.
Thank you so much, Doreen, for that. Certainly, so it is important that we continue having the checks you talk about and continuous assessment of the growth and development of our road system, because that is what shall determine the safety of everyone on the road, from the topmost in society to the lowest, and everyone that deserves to have their life in this particular country. We are joined by Isaac Katabazi. Isaac, greetings. I hope you can hear me.
Good morning, everybody. I'm quite sorry that I apologize that I'm still traveling. I'm coming from Elegu, still on the issues of my fraternity, that's the truck drivers. And I've just joined now. Well, neither can I comment, nor give my views, because I've just joined. I haven't had the chance of getting to know what exactly we are on until maybe when I get some views from you people. That's when I can put in my
Thank you, Isaac, for that.
contribution.
It's good that
But
you
I'm
are here.
traveling. I didn't want to miss. It's the reason why I joined.
Isaac, to begin with, we hear you on the road. We want to first make sure you are safe. We hope you have your seatbelt on. We hope you are not the one driving actually as you are having this conversation, and certainly so. We hope the road you are driving on is a safe road and the vehicle is in a good mechanical condition. Is that so, Isaac? Please unmute. Please unmute.
I'm quite safe. I'm with the chairman of the truck drivers who's now driving. And we're eager to contribute, but after having heard from you guys who came in before us.
All right. Thank you so much, Isaac. And it's good to note that you are very safe. I want to again come back to you, Sam. You've had the comments that come through from the various conversations we have, but one of the major comments that are coming from the people here, but also people elsewhere, especially in an accident we had recently in the country of the late now Rajiv Rupaleria, is the issue of communication signs on the road. This person comes, they can't see anything that tells them there is such and such a thing ahead. And it is a comment that comes out from very many other road accidents and a complaint from the different drivers across the country. How does it happen such so that we do not have some of these communication signs along the road that end up causing the death of our people? But two, the other thing people keep complaining about is the kind of humps that are put on the road and the size in terms of narrowness of the road. What can be done to make sure some of these things are corrected in to the standard that is required on roads that are moving people, especially on the roads that are expected to have high-speed drivers? Yes, Sam.
Okay, thank you very much, Philip. And I'm happy my sister Doreen is using a seatbelt, and she had talked of briefly before you go to on issue how what can we do. I'm very happy that most stakeholders are coming on board. We have very few stakeholders or advocates in road safety. I'm the Secretary General of Rusaku Road Safety Coalition. Currently, I have active 35 NGOs in the whole country, serving 45 million population. You can imagine that is just a small drop. So if we can continue to have more people on board and have more voice, I think we are likely to have a bigger impact. I call upon everyone to ensure that you can even make this community engagement through this civic space. We have partners. We can make it a weekly talk show that we can sensitize the communities, and we can have an impact. So what we are lacking is we lack what we call consistent and mass awareness about road safety across the whole country in different languages. We normally have one-off. We have remembrance of road accidents. It is in November. We have UN Road Safety Week in May. We are off. Rajiv has died. We make noise. This guy of Aponya died. We make noise. The poor people who die, they don't make noise. So that is how funny. But all the life matters. So you have talked of the communication on the road. The roads are supposed to communicate. The roads are supposed to guide the drivers. So the challenge as a country we have is that I don't know why the government has not handled the issue of the scrap dealers who cut these signages. That's why most of them install them and then cut them the next day. So it is a big challenge. It has been there. And with all the security apparatuses we have in the country, I don't know why they have not been able to get these guys who steal our signages. However, you can see KCC, what it has done, it has used kind of the plastic ones. That's why now the KCC, when you look at the KCC signages, they're using those ones. But still others break them to see if there are some metals inside. What the government is supposed to do is to do quarterly road safety audits. So road safety audits is a scheme whereby if there is where the incident has happened, they will need to do an investigation and analyze, was it as a contribution of road design? Was it as a contribution of road user? Because there are sometimes when you find most of people are being knocked on roads on a certain spot, which we call them black spots, as a result of road design or as a result of road users. Road users, I mean, you may find that people cross the road to fetch water across. People are using that spot to go to the school or to the church. So all people are crossing to go and fetch firewood, or that's where they do the farming across that spot. So that means if there is a frequent number of incidents on that spot, then the road safety audit will be able to identify that this is a black spot, and then government is supposed to have a black spot management scheme to ensure that where more people have died, then they can be able to rectify. Then they are also supposed to have road inspectors, like the way we have inspectors in schools, so that they inspect whether there is a worn out road, whether the markings are worn out, so that they keep on maintaining the roads. In the UK, there was an NGO called Friends of the Road. They would go along the roads and then report to the authorities that there is a pothole here, there is poor drainage, there is no marking, this is a high risk. So the government needs to ensure that there is regular road safety audits on roads. We have inspections, and then also use of camera. Now the technologies are there, and then also police patrols. So police patrols also would be able, all those are mechanisms that would help to ensure that the roads are safe. So cameras would also be able to see you are overtaking, you are reckless driving, and also our poor driving culture is that you find someone, Philip is driving, is not communicating. Immediately he makes an urgent U-turn, or he makes a U-turn where it is not allowed, or he abruptly turn to left, and then he's being knocked. So our culture of communicating with drivers, then sometimes someone puts lights and is asking you, when you ask me, you wait, but you don't ask me with lights, then you move. That's why those kind of behaviors on the roads are the one that affects the communication. But however, even the road marking paint we use some of the substandard. We paint today, after 2 vehicles, 3 vehicles have passed, you will be not able to see the road markings. So those are the regional, and we call upon the public to join us and also demand, to ensure that they demand.
Thank you, Sam, for that. And certainly, when you talk about the Friends of the Road from the United Kingdom, we have many people, but one to really talk out is Joe Walker in his road safety awareness campaign. He has been an instrumental voice in trying to call for road safety and urging government to do the many things it's supposed to do to make sure the roads in this country are safe for the people that are using them, but also making sure that people understand what they have to do and how they have to manage themselves on the different roads. We commend the works of Joe Walker, Joe the Younger, and thank you so much for the work you do. And keep moving, and hopefully many, many other people can join in on his call in the country. Isaac, seems you have something to put across.
Yes, Philip, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I do hear you, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon once again. My name is Katabazi Isaac. I'm the chairman for Regional Trackers Transformation Initiative. I would like to add on some of the contribution of the road signage. Most of the time when I engage with most CSOs, I normally say that maybe for us, we're a bit lucky that we've seen it somewhere. Why don't we do like the Tanzanians do? Most of their signage, even if it's not on a signpost, you can read it on the road, down the road. Why don't we use the same paint like the Tanzanians are using? And two, when Sam talked about the mass sensitization, it has touched me that we normally see people in our areas, and then we just not even mind. Maybe those, some are maybe mentally ill, others are just drunkards, but you find them on the road at night, even without a reflector. Given to the circumstances, how we see our roads these days, that most of our roads even are developing potholes and they are narrow. That's why even you are finding these days that you might even not fail to have someone you find knocked down by a car, maybe weekly, and the person is there on the road. Sometimes even other trucks have even gone over the body to the extent that even the body cannot be noticed. But when you ask about the village, they will tell you that we've been seeing him, he has been so, doing so, but maybe today he was unlucky. I think given the circumstances that we are seeing what exactly is happening, and if we do believe that each and every life is very important to us, we could also look at that. Another thing is that I don't know whether maybe some will correct me. Are the district road maintenance still working? If so, why don't we maybe engage them on these smaller potholes which develop daily? You know, when it's a rainy season, they tend to be even more bigger and deeper. In fact, even I'm one of the victims when we were heading to Elego, it was rainy, and then we lost even 2 tires on one side because of the pothole, which was just in between the road. In fact, if we were speeding, maybe by now we could be even a different story, be telling a different story. But thank God that we were not speeding that time. I think before that pothole gets bigger or gets deep, why don't we try to until the authorities will come and for them to repair? Would maybe ask most of the CSOs to engage them, let them start repairing the small ones, more waiting for the big ones. However much the small ones are more expensive than the big ones, for me, that's what my take will be.
Thank you so much.
That's what I think.
Thank you so much for that, and certainly so it's a matter that can be picked on and continue propagating that message until it reaches the people that are supposed to undertake that particular responsibility. Our colleagues, our time is very much persistent, but we have to really draw conclusions on this particular matter. And beginning with you, Sydney, going forward, what are the best practice initiatives that can be put in place to ensure our roads are very safe for each one of the users on a daily basis? Quite briefly, in a minute or two, so that we can get to conclude the conversation in time. Yes, Sydney.
Yes. First intervention would be to change the mentality of the citizens of the country through massive education, like Doreen had said before. I'm sure if a random quiz was subjected to many people, that if a car with twice as high speed to another one, in what distance would it cover for it to come to a stop? Many still have the mentality that it will be twice as much distance, yet when the same braking force is applied, yet in actual sense it will take 4 times as much distance, since braking distance is catered for by kinetic energy equation, in which the velocity doubles. But many still don't know that. Most would give that it would take twice as much distance. And also of recent, in a TikTok video in which couple were trying to kiss as one was driving. Yes, when one had posted it, I also commented to him that the driver, then both the driver and passenger didn't have the seat belts. By then he replied to me that such seat belts are of no use, that in case one's unlucky day, that still they would go. So a good number of Ugandans have such mentality. And also, last case on the mentality, this week on Monday, in a taxi, as in on the last climb, when from Kampala heading to Seta, often many vehicles create another middle lane to utilize the space and not to, since they are not patient, to use the normal lane for that direction and wait. And often there's the first driver, confident, who isn't scared of any risks that may occur, then often others follow behind. But taxi as in was such confident first driver. But when as an approaching lorry, which was even on a descent moving down, approached and put on the light, the warning. So when a safety cautious passenger communicated to the driver, instead the driver replied that, you all still have the same destination, that if it's one's day, then they are meant to go, that it will happen. And yet such taxi driver carrying passengers who serving the authority at the time controlling the vehicle, and replied such to the passenger that he was ready on this Monday if it was to happen that a fatality, that he was ready, yet the other passengers in the taxi weren't. But for the goals to be achieved, it's team effort from all various participants. And one good example would be relating it with common game in the country of football. And it would be as a team that the strikers would be policy makers, those who determine the government budget to allocate to the safety acts, and those for the advocacy, civil society organizations that often they front much more activities to control and achieve the targets. Then the midfielders, who often would have to interact with both the strikers and the defenders, would be the engineers that have to show right from design stage that safety precautions are being followed, but even after they have been put in place, then there's the education, then a new implementation has to be followed with road users getting to know. Like for example, on the expressway, given in Entebbe Expressway, which was the first of such, drivers often have to be taught that in case you are no longer overtaking, you are supposed to move to the right lane. And next would be the defenders, who often, right before the crash is about to happen, who can prevent it. Like, for example, police officers to catch a drunk driver or a speeding driver before getting into a crash ahead. And last but not least, these would be given the post as goalkeepers, the post-crash care after an accident has occurred can be the last to save before the fatality occurs. And one area also which country would need to improve, often in the developed countries, many have reached to a point where on a national highway, at every 20 kilometers, a post-crash care center with ready responders have been allocated. On the highway, one can be contracted that whenever an emergency has happened, they are the ones to respond, maybe given a 3-year contract. By given the time, thanks.
Yes, and that's very powerful that you put out very good recommendations for this particular cause, and certainly so many of those, if not all of them, should be picked up to see that we streamline this industry for the better. Yes, Sam, if you can hear me quite briefly, going forward, what should be done to see that we guarantee safety of our people and our property on the road? Yes, Sam. I think Sam is having connectivity challenges, but in the meantime, I will go to Isaac. Isaac, if you can hear me, any final recommendations you'd want to see implemented in the transport sector so that we guarantee safety of our people on the road? Yes, Isaac, if you think we're unable to link up with Isaac Katabazi and Sam Bambanza in the moment, but certainly so I'll come to you, Doreen Buwule. Doreen, if you can still hear me and very safe where you are. Talk me going forward some of the things you think should be done to guarantee the safety of our people on the road quite briefly. Yes, Doreen.
Well, my recommendation is to go into the long-term consideration of road use. So education is important. That's very important. And also, secondly, we should have the implementers on the road to actually do the work. Let's try to mitigate corruption so that we can have some offenders that will actually face the wrath of the law. And finally, every life is important. It's important for everybody to consider their life really as an important aspect of them. So it's really mindset change and trying to have people to consider their own lives first, and then they will consider their neighbors' lives as well. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and it was been wonderful.
Thank you so much, Doreen, for making it to the conversation, and thank you for really finding time in your very busy schedule in transit to come and share your thoughts with us. We appreciate you so much. And again, that is Doreen Buwule. She is a journalist, and we hijacked her in transit to come and share her thoughts and everything. We've had amazing thoughts from her out there. We also have SIDNEY NYOMBI here. SIDNEY, thank you so much for your thoughts and for the time you've made to the conversation. Quite an instrumental contribution you've made to the conversation. But certainly some of the recommendations you may could be picked up and make sure we create more safety on our roads. Isaac Katabazi from the Truck Drivers Association, thank you so much for your thoughts, and unfortunately we can't pick you to give us any final recommendations, but thank you so much for your thoughts and for the time, and certainly we can be picked up to build on the safety of our roads. And lastly, Sam Bambanza, thank you so much for your thoughts, and thank you for making time to the conversation. We appreciate all you've had to share with us, and certainly we look forward to more engagements about this particular subject. And in the future, we can speak of a very safe transport system and network in our beautiful country. I am Phillip Mulissa, and special thanks to the technical team, special thanks to our viewers who will keep it Civic Space TV and Community Voice of Uganda here. Special thanks to all our partners, the Center for Constitutional Governance, and everyone that works with us to make sure we put out this work to the world. I am Phillip Mulissa, and I wish you all a good day. The people that are traveling, may you reach your destination very safely and will have freedom. Always.